So what are the laws in regard to self-defense? Do I have the right to physically defend myself? What if I'm using a firearm? What if someone breaks into my house and I have to shoot them? Will I get in trouble? Who in my house will get in trouble? What if I use a stun gun or pepper spray or another non-lethal personal protection device? Or just physical defense? Wait a minute. Are the laws the same in each state? What about in my county or in my city? Are they different in my city than other cities in my county or other counties in my state? Oh, I'm so confused. What right do I have? And am I justified in defending myself? Those are all the questions that we're going to answer today. It is all about the legalities of self-defense and learning what you have the right to and what the laws are against defending yourself. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Patti Mason, also known as Pepperspray Patti. I'm a women's self-defense instructor, an empowerment coach, and a survivor of domestic violence. I'm on a mission to empower women and teens to confidently defend themselves regardless of their age, size, or physical abilities and in any situation. In every class that I teach, I challenge my students to spend the next 30 days practicing these new skills and habits that they just learned. But what does that look like? I created the 30-day self-defense challenge and put together 30 videos, each one giving you an idea of something that you can do every day to practice self-defense. My Facebook Live where I am recording this is gone rogue. So I really don't know what to say except I was gonna talk about, you know what, let's just go ahead and let's do it, okay? So this is wild and crazy. I want to talk today about the laws of self-defense, and I'm so glad that this is actually messing up like this, and I have this crazy glitch happening right now in this video because in my self-defense classes, when I get to the point that I have to talk about the legalities of self-defense and the laws of self-defense, it is probably the worst part of the class, the worst conversation that we have to have. So if I can keep a straight face through the video and stay focused on what we need to talk about while I'm watching this, yeah, I don't. All right, let's just try this, okay? If I can't stop this, I have no idea what's happening. It's some funky glitch that it just keeps changing. Okay, so there are a lot of different laws out there for self-defense, and first and foremost, let's talk about every state, every municipality has different laws, and those laws also depend on, you know, what kind of self-defense. So if you're jumping on and watching, please say hi. I have a glitch happening with my Facebook Live, and it is changing my appearance, and it's just flipping through the filters, and I can't seem to get it to turn off, but I hope that this entertains you. So please please comment below, share this video. We're talking about legalities of self-defense. At the same time, I am having a glitch on my Facebook Live, so we're having some fun. All right, so every state, every municipality has its own unique laws when it comes to self-defense, and those laws are all connected to what kind of self-defense. So when it is the kind of self-defense where you're physically defending yourself and you're using your body, your hands, and we talk about that whole hard to soft, and so a strike to the face, to the nose. That's a type of self-defense, but is a specific type of self-defense. Now, if you're using a non-lethal tool like pepper spray or a stun gun or a Kubotan or something like that, that fits into a slightly different category of self-defense, depending on where you're at. For example, New York is a good state to use as an example. They have very specific and strict laws, the entire state, on firearms. In addition to that, the entire state of New York doesn't allow pepper spray, and stun guns are illegal there. Then it also depends on where you're at. If you're anywhere in a like a federal building, like the post office, courthouses, things like that, again, you're going to have their rules. Some places will post that firearms are not allowed. Other places will post weapons are not allowed. Well, your stun gun and your pepper spray and your Kubotan technically fit into that generic definition of weapon. Now, you would have to ask that specific location, hey, your sign at the door says, weapons are not allowed. Does that include the pepper spray that, that's on my keychain? So there are tons of laws. The laws are different if you live in Illinois versus being in Cook County, Illinois, which is where Chicago's included, or the whole state of New York versus the city limits of New York City. There's so many different laws. So the question then becomes, how do I know? Well, in an effort to practice self-defense on a daily basis, my challenge for you today is to learn what are the self-defense laws in your area and how is it different depending on if I'm at home. I'm at home right now. If someone breaks into my house, what rights do I have? And what rights do I have regard to how I defend myself? If I decide that I defend myself with, just my hands and I kick my attacker in the groin and I gouge out their eyes and I smash their nose into their skull, and I'm able to defend myself and get out of my house and run to my neighbors and call 911, is what I did justified? Did I have that legal right to do that? Or if someone breaks into my house and I use a non-lethal tool like a Kubotan or a pepper spray or a stun gun to defend myself, was it justified? Am I in the right, or am I going to get into trouble? Then you have the category of firearm. Someone breaks into my house and I use a firearm to defend myself. Or what if I use a combination of those things? What are the laws? It is your responsibility, just that it is your responsibility to know how to defend yourself. It is your responsibility to know what the laws are, so find out at your place of work, what are the rules? When I was in college, I worked at a gas station and was told the rule is if someone comes in and says, give me the money, you give them the money. We are not going to hold you as an employee, responsible for that cash. And we don't want you to be, having to defend yourself against this person for the money. If your life is in danger, do what you got to do to stay safe. And if that means that that person just wants the money and isn't going to, physically harm you because you gave it to them, then give it to them. That was their rule. And we've seen many times in the news, for example, there was a Walgreens manager who the store got robbed and the manager went out of the store and chased after the bad guy to get them. And the manager got in trouble from corporate. Why? Because that's not what we told you the rules were in our store. As the manager, you're responsible for following the rules. And our rule is give them the money, let them go, take care of, especially as the manager, your role is not to go after the bad guy. Your role is to take care of the store. The store needs you. Anyone inside the store, the customers, the employees, making sure that law enforcement is reached. Those are your responsibilities. And so we have to follow, those kind of rules. So find out what the rules are for your state, for your county, whatever area of that state that you live in. And then find out what are the rules when I'm inside my house. Are you familiar with what castle law is? Castle law is not universal everywhere in the United States. Again, that's something that is determined by the state. But do you have castle law, which means that if someone breaks into your home, do you have the right to defend yourself? Let's say, for example, that you were out, you come home, and the front door is open, and you decide to go into your house. Now, I personally recommend that if you get to your front door and it is open and you didn't leave it that way, or you don't specifically remember leaving it that way, then I suggest you go to your neighbors or someone else's house. I suggest that you call law enforcement, tell them, listen, I was away from my home, I came back, the door's open. I'm not sure if that was an accident or if someone's in there, and I'd rather be safe than sorry, and have them come and have them enter the house first. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Hello. All right, so you get to your house, somebody is in your house. They have forcibly entered your home and they're trashing your house. They're robbing you. Do you have castle law and the ability to defend yourself with a firearm, with your physical abilities, with a non-lethal tool? Check that out. There is also what is called stand your ground laws. Now, stand your ground laws is a little bit different. Hey, Angela, is a little bit different than the castle laws. Castle laws are your domain. So your home, your vehicle. So if you are in your car at the ATM, and someone comes up and robs you, you're in your vehicle. What are the laws for your ability to defend yourself? And so then it expands into your backyard. Just earlier today. All right, Angela, have fun at work. Today's my day off, but hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day and stay safe. And all right, so we're back to this fun topic of laws. If you're jumping on, I have a problem with my Facebook filter, and it is just flipping through this. I can't seem to get it to shut off. So we're having some fun while talking about an ugly subject of the laws of self-defense. Do you have the right to defend yourself? I'm talking about all the different laws. Are you in the airport? Are you in a courthouse? Are you in a school? Those places have laws on how you are able to defend yourself, what you can use, what is allowed inside those buildings and what is not allowed. Then you have states, each have their own laws. Municipalities, like the city of, like New York City, Chicago has its own laws. So if you're within the city limits of Chicago, those are different than the suburbs outside of Chicago. But if you're in Cook County, which includes Chicago, but also includes most of those suburbs, what are your laws? And if you're outside of Cook County, but still in Illinois, what are your laws? Everyone's going to be just a little bit different. You might have castle law. You might have stand your ground. It might depend on what you're using. So take a little bit of time today or this weekend to see what are your laws and what are your laws for the different types of self-defense options. The bottom line, as human beings, there is a universal law of self-defense that as a human being, you have the right to use justified force when your life or the life of someone else is being threatened. One of the examples that I use in my self-defense class is a gentleman in Milwaukee. This was a few years ago. He was on a motorcycle. He's driving down the street in Milwaukee. And I don't remember the exact details, so I'm just going to use that as an example and then tell you a story. So there's a man in Milwaukee in the state of Wisconsin. And the state of Wisconsin says that you have the right to defend yourself when your life is being threatened, right? Because everybody everywhere has that right. So the man's driving down the street with his motorcycle. He comes to a stop and someone comes up and tries to rob him. Give me your money. The guy says no and starts to fight the robber, the burglar. And in the mix of it, the robber pulls him off of the motorcycle and they're fighting, and the robber grabs the wallet out of the guy's pocket and starts to run. At this point, it has freed up the motorcyclist enough to be able to grab his firearm that he is legally carrying with a concealed carry permit. He is lawfully right to carry that firearm concealed with a concealed carry permit. But this was the first moment that he had to be able to get to that firearm. He pulls it out and he shoots the bad guy as the bad guy is running away with his wallet. Was he in the right? Did he follow the laws? No, he didn't. Because in the moment, and this is the part that people don't like, and I get it. I get that this seems unfair. But you have the right to defend yourself in that moment that you are being attacked, that your life is in danger. The moment that that burglar ran off was the moment that the threat was over. And so the fact that that's then when the man pulled out his firearm and shot at him, that's where it became unjustified. The threat was gone. And so I encourage you to find out what the laws are in your area, particularly where is it that you always go. So wherever your work is, what are the laws for self-defense there? What are the laws where you live? Is there, somewhere where you travel a lot, spend a lot of time? Find out the laws in those areas. For example, right here where I live, we have the Illinois-Wisconsin state line. And these are two very different states with very different laws. So, for example, if you are a Wisconsin resident and you have a concealed carry permit, but you work in Illinois, which means that majority of your time you're actually in Illinois, those are the laws you have to follow in regard to concealed carry. You actually can't just cross the line and say, well, hey, I got a concealed carry permit in Wisconsin, so I'm good in Illinois. It doesn't work that way. Illinois doesn't have reciprocity with Wisconsin because the concealed carry education and laws are different. So you have to know that. But if you live in Illinois and you have concealed carry here and you go in and you work in Wisconsin and you're crossing that state line on a regular basis, Wisconsin does have reciprocity for anyone who has an Illinois concealed carry. So you can go that way, but you can't go so you got to know these things. But in addition to that, what I suggest, the best thing to do is to just remember reasonable, justified self-defense is your human right when your life is in danger. I feared for my life are the words. If you feel that you're like, so someone's pointing a gun at you, or is pointing a knife at you, or is physically holding on to you, where you feel that your life is in danger and you don't have any other option but to physically defend yourself against this person, then you're justified. So then it says reasonable amount of force. What's a reasonable amount of force? Well, if somebody grabs onto me, I am going to injure that person to get them to let go of me. But as soon as they've let go and that threat is done, and I have the ability to run, my physical defense stops, and now I'm on my way out of there, because it's all about getting away safely. So as soon as you have that opportunity. So that means if someone attacks you and you're enraged and you physically defend yourself, but once that person is down, you decide that, you know what? How dare you choose me? And for that, I'm going to give you an extra kick in the groin, even though that person is already down and there's no threat. Guess what? You are now the attacker. That force, that last bit of force, is no longer reasonable because that person is down and is no longer threatening your life. That's the bottom line. Maisha says, so important. Thank you for sharing. You are so welcome. And I ask that you share this video, because if it has helped you, it will help others. This is a very important topic. Why? Because so many people are afraid to help someone else because, well, what if, will I get in trouble? If you're walking through the parking lot of the grocery store and you see a man, let's just say, for example's sake, there's a man that is hurting another woman, you have the right to use reasonable force to help that person. But remember, it is about safety. This is about being able to get home to your family at the end of the day to be safe. So I suggest you do what needs to be done to help that person, while not only making sure that they don't get hurt any further, but you don't get hurt any further. And so if you're not confident in your ability to physically defend yourself, and maybe you don't have any other personal protection device to help you be empowered at the next level to physically defend yourself, there are other things that you can do to help that person. Make noise, start yelling, because a predator, an attacker, does not want attention. They don't want to get caught. That's why they, anyone does is a violent criminal does it with the expectation that they're not going to get hurt, because they've chose their victim as someone who's not going to fight back and is not going to fight for themselves. So these people need someone to help them. And, you have to assess the situation and say, maybe I'll walk up to a situation and it's not quite so obvious, and I may say, do you need help? And I'll ask that person. And if they say no, and I may even address myself, hey, I'm a self-defense instructor. Do you need assistance? Or whatever you need to say or whatever you need to do. Again, you're going to have to assess that situation. I can't say, hey, here's what you do, because there's too many variables. If you don't feel safe and comfortable helping another person because you're going to be physically harmed because you don't have those abilities, first of all, get your butt in a self-defense class, because that could have been you. And if you don't know how to do something that can help someone else, how do you know what you're going to do when it's you in that situation? So get your butt in a self-defense class as soon as we're able to hold self-defense classes. And in the meantime, get on my YouTube channel and watch all the videos in the hashtag 30-day self-defense challenge, so that you know how you can practice self-defense on a daily basis to empower and equip you. Hey, My name is Pepperspray Patti. I'm a self-defense instructor, and I'm here to empower and equip and educate you so that you can confidently defend yourself. But you have to do the work. You have to practice. Now that little rant is over, probably because I just had my little bit of coffee. But we're talking about the laws and legalities. Does anyone have any questions about laws and legalities? If you have trouble finding out what the laws are in your area, please reach out to me. I have all the resources to point you in the right direction and let you know where you can find them. And if you're confused, what's the difference between castle law and stand your ground law? And do they just have to do with firearms, or do they also have to do with physical defense? We can, I can help you find those resources for your area, your community. But remember, the bottom line is about physical harm. Do you feel that your life is threatened? If you feel that your life is threatened and you are in danger, then you have the right to use reasonable force to protect yourself or another person. That's the bottom line. Speak up, stand up, use the power of your voice. All of these things, all of these different aspects of self-defense that I teach in my classes and on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel, this information is all there and available for you. So take a little bit of time each day to learn a little something about self-defense so that regardless of where you are or who you are, your size, your shape, your strength, your age, your physical abilities, so no matter what the situation, you will be able to confidently defend yourself. You guys stay safe, practice self-defense every day because your life is worth it. Trust me, you are worth it. You are worthy and you deserve safety. You deserve to feel safe. And if you don't, please reach out. I am here to help. I hope that this helped. I had no intentions of clarifying the laws because the best part, the best job that lawmakers do is making laws confusing. They are not experts at making black and white laws. They are experts at making laws gray. I don't know why this is. I wish it would stop. But the reality is there's a lot of fuzziness. So that's why I just say, if you feel that your life is in danger, defend it. Defend it until you can get away safely. If you remember just that, then you won't have to worry about if what I did was justified, if what I did was reasonable. And one more example, and it has to do with you know what? I've already talked about that. So I'm not going to confuse you anymore and give you more unnecessary examples. Just figure out, learn what the laws are in your area and learn how to confidently defend yourself. Have a wonderful day and stay safe.